Hey everyone, my name is Clyde, and in today's deep dive, we are going to be going over the Santa's gift containers that are in World of Warships right now. We're going to cover them in detail, talking about what they are, how you can get them, and how you can maximize your chances at getting the absolute best prizes. Without further ado, let's get into it. What is a Santa's gift container? Look, many of you guys may be old hands. You know all about Wargaming's annual holiday celebration event. You've done this year after year after year. But for anybody who's newer to the game, maybe you've played for less than a year or you didn't participate last year, a Christmas box in this Warships holiday celebration thing is a great way to get camos, signals, premium time, and sometimes even premium ships. Wargaming usually provides a few of these boxes to players for free through missions and things. More on this a little bit later. But of course, they will also sell you a few for a nominal fee. Let's talk about how to get these Santa's gift containers for free. Players who've been knocking the snowflakes off their tier 10 ships have noticed that instead of getting coal or steel or something like that, they've been getting a New Year's certificate. Players with more tier 10 ships will be able to get more New Year's certificates, and you'll be able to exchange those certificates to get Santa's gift boxes. Players who've played the game more will have more tier 10 ships, like we said, and that is Wargaming's way of rewarding them for being loyal customers and players of the game. There are three different types of Santa's gift boxes. There's the Santa's Mega Gift, Santa's Big Gift, and Santa's Gift boxes. The Megas are the best, the Bigs are in the middle, and the gift boxes are the least exciting when it comes to prizes that you might find inside. For players who unlocked the New Year's certificates by playing their tier 10 ships, you'll be able to exchange those certificates at the following ratios. 5 of them will get you a Mega, 3 will get you a big container, and 1 will swap for a gift container. Now, that is not the only way that you'll be able to unlock these boxes for free. You can also get some using the Dockyard event for the Marlborough. Of course, there are 5 containers in there, but some of them are at the high end of the spectrum, so not everybody's going to be able to get all 5. In fact, the 5th one is in the 29th phase out of 32, so that's pretty much just for people who are going all the way. Of course, as I said, you'll be able to buy some of these Christmas boxes for money. The prices are not available at the time I'm recording this. However, I did go looking for some Ghost of Christmas Past type pricing information, and I found that in 2020 you could buy 20 mega boxes for 22,450 doubloons. That's about $90 US. 20 big boxes cost 13,450 dubs, which was about $53.80, and 20 gift boxes could ring up at about 4,500 dubs, which is $18 US. Going back to 2019, I found some individual prices for the boxes. Megas were going for $5, bigs for $3, and gift boxes for $1, which is kind of what I remember them being last year. I just didn't find a page that listed the prices for last year. Now the prices, like I said, they haven't been officially announced, but I think it's pretty safe to say that we'll be pretty close to these prices as we go into the availability of these boxes this weekend. All right, all that's fine and dandy, but the reason you guys came here was to learn about drop rates and maybe how we can do our best when we choose our containers. So let's talk about drop rates. Now, we covered this a little bit on my December 2nd live stream on Twitch. You can come hang out with us live on twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive. If you go there, I've got a schedule. We keep that schedule, so you can definitely count on when we're going to be online. We'd love to have you come join us. Anyhow, today we are going to go into more detail on the prizes, the ships that are available, and the odds. We're also going to talk a little bit about how you can optimize your container selection in order to get more ships, basically. And that'll work whether you're using your certificates, your New Year's certificates, or whether you're spending money, or maybe a combination of the two. Now, before we talk about ships at all, I'd like to remind you, and more importantly, I'd like to remind me, that some of the non-ship prizes are really great in these boxes as well. I think as World of Warships players, we really fixate on the ship drops as though there are no other prizes in these boxes, and if we didn't get a Musashi, we didn't get nothing. Well, that's not exactly true. If the prices of the boxes match what we've seen in previous years, in other words, $5, $3, $1, then anytime you get doubloons out of the box, you're getting twice as many doubloons as the box cost. That is to say, out of a mega box that costs $5, you'd get $10 worth of dubs. A big box costs $3, you'd get $6 worth of dubs. And a gift box is going to cost you $1, you'd get $2 worth of dubs. That's a pretty good prize. Now, granted, you're not going to get doubloons out of every box, but, that's a pretty good good prize. The premium time ratio is even better. The premium time that you get out of each one of these boxes is worth 10 times the cost of the box. So you'll get $50 worth of premium in the mega box if you get premium. You'll get I can't even do the math right now, $30 worth of premium for a $3 box and $10 worth of premium out of a $1 box. Camos and signals are harder for me to put a price on, honestly, but most of the paint and the signals that are in the boxes are on the better end of the spectrum. The one exception is the basic signal pack that only comes in the Santa's gift box, the cheapest box, but even that is probably a pretty decent deal for $1, even if those signals aren't too hard to come by. The moral of the story is that every drop here is worth more than the sticker price of the box, even though I know you guys don't care, I don't care, Scott, I don't care. We only want to get ships out of these boxes. So let's quit talking about this junk and move on to ships. First, let's look at the ship lists. Now, Wargaming has divided the list of ships you can get into 3 different categories. The first 2 groups are comprised of premium ships that you can get for either doubloons or coal. The tier 5 through 7 group has 61 ships in it, and it's the most likely to drop from any container. The tier 8 and 9 ships have a list of 41 ships they could come from, and it is the next most likely group of ships that'll drop for you. The rare and tier 10 ship list is the least likely to drop. The list includes 32 ships, which are either tier 10 ships or they are ships that are no longer available for purchase. That's how they've defined rare. It's not necessarily that the ship is rare, that you don't see very many of them out there. It just means it's no longer available in the game. One item that is of particular interest or note is that there are no steel or research ships on any of the Christmas box lists. Those you gotta grind all by yourself. Next, I want to cover a couple of special rules that govern how the ship drop algorithm works. Wargaming, of course, has listed these 3 different lists that the ships are on, and each one of those lists has its own percentage or odds that it will drop. But they have stated that within each group, the odds of any ship dropping is exactly the same. So that means that if you roll a rare or tier 10 ship in that most coveted list, the odds are exactly the same within that list of you getting a Musashi or an Admiral Grafspee. Second, Wargaming also state that just like in previous years, you will never be given a ship that's already in your port. If the random roll mechanic selects a list and then selects a ship from that list that you already have, it'll choose a different ship from that same list. If you have all of the ships in that list, it will distribute the random chance of getting an item from that list to the other ship lists and reroll you a ship from one of the other lists. If you are a super whale and you have all 134 ships on all 3 of the Christmas box lists, you will be rewarded instead with steel instead of a ship. If you use a gift container, you'll get 250 steel. A big gift container will reward you with 750 steel, and you'll be awarded 1250 steel if you have a mega gift container in this condition. This is only for very few players, and it probably doesn't affect you, but if it does, it's a weird way that you can kind of like buy steel as long as you roll something from the ships group, and you've already got all the boats. So there's also a thing that I've been calling the mercy rule that Wargaming has implemented to prevent a pathological case where a user would spend tons and tons and tons of money on boxes and simply never get a ship of any kind. Basically, if you fail to get a ship a specified number of times for each box type, the next box of that same type will drop you a ship guaranteed. So for gift containers, if you've failed to get a ship 99 times in a row, which is a lot, the 100th box will drop you a ship. For big gifts, if you have 26 failures, your 27th box will 100% drop you a ship. And for mega gifts, after 14 failures, you'll definitely get a ship out of box number 15. The mercy rule has absolutely no effect on what ship you're gonna get on that next box though. So say you bought 14 mega containers, didn't get a ship, you bought a 15th container, it's not gonna like help you get a small end or a thunderer or anything. It's actually just gonna make sure you get any old ship. You might get a Marblehead or a McCoyan or a Genova or whatever's on the list that sucks. And so the mercy rule doesn't necessarily make sure you get anything better than what you would get on a normal pull. It's also possible, of course, given this rule, to buy a maximum of 139 boxes and never get a ship. You'd have to buy 99 gifts, 26 bigs, and 14 megas, and have the absolute worst luck in the world, but it's possible. If you did that, it would make sense to buy 3 more boxes because you would definitely get a ship out of each of those box types. The odds of invoking the mercy rule are quite low, but not impossible. For each of the box types, it's about an 8 or 9% chance that you'll get to a position where it would be invoked for you. When it does, as we said, that next box is definitely going to be a ship. That ship is not definitely going to be any better than any other ship you would roll. It'll probably be a Genova for me. Interestingly, of course, this mercy rule being applied for megas says that you're going to get at least one ship if you buy a 20-pack of mega boxes, because it would happen absolutely no later than your 15th box. Kind of interesting. Now, one more word about the ship drop rates, okay? When you get a ship, it is incredibly likely that you are going to get a tier 5 to tier 7 ship from the tier 5 to tier 7 ship list. With mega boxes, you're 12 times more likely to get a tier 5 to tier 7 than you are to get a rare. With big boxes, you're 14 times more likely to get a tier 5 to tier 7 than a rare. And with gift boxes, the cheap boys, you're 20 times more likely to get a tier 5 to tier 7 ship than you are to get a rare. I want to stress this. This is really important for people to understand. The rare ships, the tier 10s, the tier 10/rare group, is going to be really hard to get even with mega boxes. If you whale into these and you get boats, you're going to get tier 5s to tier 7s. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't want you to think that this is like a cheap and easy way to get a Smoland or a Thunderer or something awesome like that, or a Belfast, the OG Belfast. All right, I think I've made my point. Let's move on and keep talking because this is still interesting. Can we manipulate our ship drops? How can we control this? Can we bend it to our very will in order to get what we want? Listen, if you're a mega whale out there straining the sea for plankton and krill with your baleen plates day in and day out, you might own 132 of the 134 ships on this list. If that's the case, then you and the other ocean lords are able to predict what might be coming next in your list because you already have eliminated every single ship possibility. What about the rest of us? We don't have that luxury. For me, there are 49 ships that I don't have. And I have plenty of ships. I have a lot of boats. I just don't have all of the boats. Even though I took a few minutes earlier to say how cool the non-ship prizes are, because they are cool, they're definitely worth the purchase price, I want to try to get as many ships as I can, because ships are the most exciting thing to pull out of Santa crates. It's fun for us to get ships. No, I'm not going to whale into containers to get all 49 of those ships. That would be incredibly expensive and pretty stupid, frankly. And I don't really want every ship on that list. So what do? The first thing that players like me, who have a lot of options on the list, need to do is acknowledge that we're kind of powerless to control what ships we're going to get. I joked earlier that the Genova is on my list, and guess what? I'm going to get a Genova. There's no way around it, and when I do, I will post a screenshot on my Discord and on Twitter, and I'll tell everybody I told you so. Check out my sick Genova, and then we'll take it out on stream. Come join me, twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive. Another thing to think about is that on this year's ship list, there are a bunch of ships that are available for free XP and coal. Now, if you watched my Research Bureau video, you saw me talk about how free XP is, I think, a pretty cheap currency. Why do I think it's cheap? I think free XP is a cheap currency because you can manipulate your earnings of that more easily than you can with other currencies. You can put camos on, you can put signals on, you can have premium time. There's a clan building that will give you an increased amount of free XP for every match. It's easy to say, let me put these things on my boat, and now I get more free XP. Now, the same is true of coal ships. It's not quite as cheap as free XP, but there are ways to get coal every single day. And just like free XP, you don't even have to win. You just play. You just play games. You don't even have to be good at World Warships, and you will get free XP, you will get coal, you'll get credits, you'll get all these cheaper currencies that way. You can also increase your coal earnings using the clan buildings. And again, we talk about all of this in much more detail in the Research Bureau video. If you want to watch that, go do so. I'll put a link somewhere on the screen here. So why am I talking about research ships and free XP ships? Well, because the ship drop is selected when you open the box. You can get all your Christmas boxes, and then pre-purchase any ships that you'd like to remove from contention. Now, why would you want to get a coal ship or a free XP ship out of the random list of ships? Well, you'd want to get them out of there because you're going to get those ships for free anyway. If you're already going to get, for example, the A-Gear, that's a ship I don't have, and it's available for 1 million free XP. If you look up in the corner, right now I've got 443,000 free XP. If I could get enough to buy the A-Gear first, I wouldn't waste a tier 8, tier 9 drop on the A-Gear. I'd get something more interesting, maybe something that cost doubloons. I think I'd probably like the A-Gear well enough. I just haven't bought it yet. So it's not like I'm hiding or avoiding buying it, I should say, because I don't want the boat. I just have other things to spend my free XP on right now. All right, so once we're done attempting to live in a fantasy land where we think we can manipulate the list of ships available to us as prizes, let us imagine a world where we are, as previously stated, entirely powerless to affect the outcome of these Christmas boxes. It shouldn't be hard, because for most of us, that is the actual world that we actually live in. Now, of course, those mega whales we mentioned earlier are able to manipulate this process because they've simply eliminated every possibility other than the ships that they don't have yet. Given that we don't have the power to choose the ship from the list that we want, I decided that for me at least, the best way for me to maximize the cool stuff I'm going to get out of these boxes is to simply say, how can I get the most ships? I don't get to pick what ships. And so it really doesn't matter. There's no way to try for me to get a specific ship or a specific set of ships. How about I just maximize ships and we start there? In statistics, we have a concept called expected value. This isn't going to turn into a big math lesson, I promise, but I did want to describe this concept so you guys could understand what I did here. The expected value is defined as the weighted average of all of the outcomes of a random variable based on their probabilities. We can interpret this value as the average or the expected outcome if we were to randomize and select that random variable an infinite number of times. Basically, it's like if you take a 6-sided die and you add up all of the sides, and then I think you divide them by 6 because there are 6 options, that'll give you 3.5 because that's the expected value. Every time you roll the 6-sided dice, you're expected to get 3.5. Now, sometimes we know we get 6, sometimes we know we get 1, but the expected value, the average number we're always going to get, is 3.5. Now, statistics math isn't exactly difficult to do, but writing code is much easier. I wrote a simple little program that would help me simulate opening Christmas boxes millions and millions and millions of times. It works kind of like this. You tell the program how many New Year's certificates you have, and it determines every possible combination, every different way that you could spend those certificates to buy all different types of boxes. It runs 100,000 simulations for each of these different combinations of box purchases, and then during each simulation, it tracks what kind of prizes you get. Do you get rare ships? Do you get tier 8 or 9 ships? Do you get tier 5 through 7 ships? Or do you get some prize that's cool, but not a ship, so honestly, who cares? Then the program calculates the expected outcomes of each of these prizes by averaging the results of all the simulations. Finally, it compares the expected outcome of getting a ship versus not getting a ship for each of the possible combinations of the ways that you could have purchased Santa crates with your certificates. And it tells you which one is going to give you the most ships according to maths. For example, I have 28 New Year's certificates because I have 28 tier 10 ships. Here are the 35 possible combinations of the ways to spend those certificates. In every single combination, we spend every certificate, and I ran 100,000 simulations for each of those 35 combinations. Because across all of them, we buy a total of 528 containers, that means I ran 52,800,000 container opening simulations to get the expected value of these crates. Because this is randomly rolled simulation data, there's going to be some variation in the results. Actually doing the statistics math would have been slightly more accurate. However, we did enough simulations that I feel pretty comfortable thinking of these as pretty accurate values. The accuracy is also limited by the random number generator in the programming language I used, and of course, like I said, running more simulations would have made this more better. Each row in this table represents a combination of mega, big, or gift containers that we can buy with 28 certificates. The best row is the last last row, and I highlighted that one in green. The worst combination is the row that I've highlighted in red. So the value in the last column, the expected ships column, is the number of ships that I can expect to get when I spend 28 certificates. Obviously, in the real world, we're not going to be able to get 0.8 something ships. We're going to get 1 ship or 0 ships. Just like when you roll a 6-sided die, you're not going to roll a 3.5. You're going to get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, but 3.5 is still the expected result. What this table tells us is that I will probably get a ship with my New Year's certificates, but I might not. Another piece of information that's interesting about this table is that between the best and the worst value is a difference of 0.05 expected ships. So even though everyone is going to tell you, oh, the best way to go is to always buy the most megas, that is true, but the gap between the megas and, in this case, the big and gift boxes, which is the worst option that I highlighted in red there, is not that big of a difference. That said, I'll still be going for megas, and the reason is take a look at the difference in the expected or of the tier 10s or the rares column. I'm expecting to get 0.0549 rares with the best option, but it's only 0.032 in the worst option. So obviously, even though my overall expected ships number doesn't go up that much, it does go up, and the odds of getting a better ship also go up by going with rares. Even though I'm getting far less random rolls, I'm getting far less pulls with fewer containers than with the 24 containers I'm getting on row 3 of this table, I'm going to have a better chance of getting a better ship, and I'm more likely to actually get more ships in general. It's really kind of interesting when you look at the way the numbers work. Now, I know that most of you guys aren't going to be exactly like my port. You're going to have some number that is not 28 of tier 10 ships. And so for you guys, I ran the sim again with 5, 10, 15, all the way up to 50 New Year's certificates. I put together this table here, which shows the best combination of containers to buy for each of those numbers of certificates. That is to say, the one that had the highest expected value of ships that you're going to get out of buying those containers. You can find the row there that represents the number of certificates that's closest to what you're going to get, and whatever is in that row is probably pretty close to what you can expect to get out of your Santa boxes. Perhaps the most useful piece of information here is that the highest expected value for getting ships was always from buying the most mega boxes that you could, regardless of how many certificates you had. So if you were wondering if you should buy fewer mega boxes, which have a higher chance of getting ships, or if you should buy a million crappy gift boxes, which have a lower chance of getting ships but have more random rolls, the answer is absolutely to buy more mega boxes. This proved to be true again and again and again in my simulations. Now, of course, these are averaged values over millions and millions of simulated container openings. Nothing in these tables is a guarantee, and I will tell you, I am personally guaranteeing absolutely nothing. Now, Wargaming does say that if you have enough containers to proc the mercy rule, there is a guarantee, but you'll note that even players who have 50 tier 10 ships will only get 50 certificates, and that's only enough to buy 10 mega boxes. The program does take the mercy rule into account if you can get enough boxes, and one of the ways you can do that is to spend money. So if you choose to buy boxes this year, and that is up to you entirely, I would recommend only buying mega boxes. This table here is the exact same simulation as before, except for in addition to spending all of their certificates, the players each purchased 10 mega boxes at $5 each, which is about $50 US, to add to the pile they could purchase with their certificates. Just as before, the best result for every single player was to buy nothing but mega boxes. So let's talk about rare ships for just a second. Let's take a look at the last row of this table. This is the expected value for 20 mega boxes. This one is kind of interesting because you'll be able to buy a 20 box bundle for probably around $90 or $100, and I think a lot of players will take this option. I can't tell you the number of people I've met who say, listen, I buy $100 of Christmas boxes every year and it's the only time I ever will. This option has pretty much a 4 expected ship value. In other words, you're expected to get about 4 ships if you buy 20 mega boxes. And let's break those down. Those 4 expected ships are broken up into 3 tier 5 through 7 ships, where it says 2.99, about 3/4 of a tier 8 and 9 ship, and about 1/4 of a tier 10 or rare ship. Even buying $100 worth of mega boxes only nets you the expectation of getting 1/4 of a rare ship. In order to get an expected value of 1 for a tier 10 or rare ship, you have to buy 80 megaboxes. Okay, let's let this sink in for a little bit, right? In order to expect to get one ship from the rare list, you got to buy 80 boxes. Now, you're going to meet somebody, you're going to talk to somebody, you're going to see a tweet or a Reddit post of somebody who says, I bought one cheap $1 box and I got a Musashi out of it. That's fine. That is not normal. 80 megaboxes cost $400, assuming prices remain what they are in the years past, and I think they will. You can buy a lot of ships for $400 without any sort of gambling. You can buy like the best ships in the game right now, probably, that are available for doubloons without gambling. You could spend that money to regrind, to like convert free XP and to buy credits and buy ships from the Research Bureau for $400. That's a terrible way to do that, but you could, okay? Don't whale into this trying to get Musashi. Please don't. Don't whale for Smalland. It's a terrible idea. Don't whale for Thunderer. You won't get Thunderer. Now, to be clear, I'm not telling you not to whale at all. And honestly, if you want to whale for a ship, you go ahead. It's entirely up to you. I'm recommending that you don't whale with a single ship in mind. Unless you own an incredibly huge number of ships on this list and can actually control what ships you're going to get, it is almost certainly not going to go the way that you want it to. As WoWs grows and the number of ships on this Christmas list gets larger and larger, unless you're whaling and keeping pace and owning all the ships as you go, you have no control over what you're going to get. If you're going to buy a bunch of boxes, go for it. I encourage it. I think that's great. Do your thing. But don't buy them thinking I'm getting Musashi. Buy them with the knowledge that you're going to get a bunch of great stuff, and a lot of it's not even going to be ships. You might even get a really cool ship. Or you might get Genova, like I'm definitely going to get this year. Just you watch. If you go in with an expectation, one ship out of 134, you're going to be disappointed. Even I'm going in, if I went in with an expectation, one ship out of 49, I would be disappointed. Please don't be disappointed. If you're going to buy ships, or excuse me, if you're going to buy containers, go in and buy the containers knowing that you're going to get neat stuff. But please don't go try to buy yourself a Thunderer this way. This is a terrible way to try to buy a single ship. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was enlightening. I hope it was helpful. I hope that you had a great time watching it, and I hope you'll share it with a friend. Hit me up with questions in the comments below. Join the Discord. It's down in the links. Come hang out on stream, twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive. Take care of each other, and we will see you guys in the next video.